week 6, Diddy trial, Diddy drug mule. We gotta get into that, man. I heard he testified.
Well, they got him to testify, but it didn't seem like he was a drug mule. But before we get off into that, Mighty, this is going to be, this week was the prosecution last week. They brought him in and they brought in the people that arrested Diddy, one of the agents that arrested Diddy. Um, it's about to be over with, bro. The defense is going to go on next week, and they said they need probably a week or so to defend what the prosecution has took 5 to 6 weeks to do. So now, as I look back on everything, and before the drug mule, Brendan even testified, uh, the case was locked in sync as far as the RICO, as far as the racketeering and everything like that, which is based on a federal law, based on the federal stuff. But this is where it gets tricky at. Brendan was brought in because KK, his assistant, refused to testify against him. So now they bring him in to make sure that she was a part of everything. So when they go after her and the other people that were co-conspirators, then they have them trapped up. You understand? So that's why they brought him in. You understand? It was the drugs. It was the going back and forth. It was him receiving money from her and Combs Enterprises in order to solidify what was going on. So him testifying was big for the prosecution, for the other people, not more so Diddy, but for the other people that they're going to get as co-conspirators. So Brendan did his job as far as he was saying that he was trying to say like he didn't know was getting 28 ounces of cocaine or pills and stuff was against the law, which this guy comes from a well-to-do family. He's college educated. He played ball at Syracuse. But prior to this incident, or prior to this situation with Diddy, I think he had a state charge. The state had caught him doing something, as far as drug related. So now they dropped his state charges. The federal government had the state charges dropped and everything. So he got a clean slate on life. You understand? So now what he need to do and what he did was he testified. The state was happy what they was because they closed. They didn't badger him anything. They tried to make it seem like, oh, this was a college kid, a kid that was a basketball prodigy. He, because of COVID, he could see he stopped playing ball and everything like that. He started working with Diddy, and he became an individual that he could get over with the drugs. They didn't look at him for carrying the drugs or anything like that. So I believe that the federal government, because they have been watching Diddy for a long time, when they ran his charges, whether it's through facial recognition or everything like that, they knew he had a state charge. Because you got to realize the day they raided the house, why would they be following him to the airport and he wasn't at Diddy's house? Why would they be following? They knew this kid had a charge, and some agents probably was working with him. Some agents was probably working with him based on his state charges that he had. Because they caught him at the airport. Who goes to the airport with drugs on their person? Who goes to the airport with drugs on their person? He would have did better trying to hide that inside his suitcase or something like that. But he got drugs on him? Nah, bruh. It don't even seem right. It don't even seem right. So I believe, and this is my own personal belief, This ain't the beliefs of the art of dialogue of nobody's. I believe this kid was working with the federal government all along. And by him working with the federal government, they knew. Because when they doing surveillance on people, they do facial recognitions. They knew when they saw this kid that he already had state charges for drugs. And by him having state charges for drugs, you understand? Well, we could get at him, see what he's gonna do with Diddy and everything like that, have him work for us, use him as a CI, catch him at the airport with drugs, and look where they at. He became a mule for him. He said that he only took drugs for Puff no more than anywhere from 6 to 10 times. But that's what probably he got caught with 6 or 10 times that they knew of. I can't believe all the freak offs that he was doing per week that he only brought drugs 6 or 10 times. That was crazy. I believe that his testimony was pretty good though. His testimony was light. The defense didn't go at him either. The defense didn't go at him at all. So he had a light day. Everybody thought that it was going to be bigger than that he was going to say more. See, everybody thought he was going to say more. Everybody thought the prosecutors were going to go at him, bro. You understand? I thought the prosecutors were going to go at him. But see, what they did was they wanted to make him seem like he was a good kid. How the hell he a good kid? He know he's buying illegal drugs. He wasn't going to the pharmacy. He wasn't going to Walgreens. He wasn't going to CVC. He wasn't going to none of those places buying drugs, bro. He was buying drugs from drug dealers, then bringing them back to Diddy's camp. You understand what I'm saying? But they wasn't getting into that. They tried to make him seem like a good kid, bro. This is crazy to me. And like he didn't know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. But they painted a picture for him, bro. They painted a picture that this was an all-American kid, and because of his bout with COVID, not playing at Syracuse no more, he went to work with with Diddy, and as a personal assistant, he became, Diddy used him as a drug dealer. When he had a case before Diddy. He had a case before Diddy. He had a state case. Why did they get rid of the state case? The state case came before the federal case. But they went real easy on him. And so did the defense. Can't make this shit up, bro. Before Brendan testified, they got rid of juror number 6. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard he was a black guy, right?
And the defense tried to make it seem like that it had something to do with they needed some racial balance on the jury and everything like that. It wasn't nothing about that, bro. This dude had lied on some forms and everything, and they caught up with him. And I think he's a government worker too. And he has to watch that too, because as being a government worker and you lied on those forms, you understand, that could go back to your job, and they could, because you have a certain status that you're supposed to have, and you don't supposed to, lie on forms. You have a certain thing that you have to be not only professional, you have a code of conduct. You understand? And if he lied on those court documents, and nobody's saying that he knew he was going to be on the Diddy trial, but he didn't tell the full truth, and that's what it came end up biting him. It came and end up biting him. Then like they have people in there that's watching the jurors. You understand? And if the jurors are making certain kind of eye contact, like they was making, like doing the freak off tapes, because they watched the freak off tapes too. So if they making some kind of eye contact, then look at Diddy a certain way or make some kind of groans or something. They look at that. They got people that's just watching the jury and see if they getting out of line in any kind of way. But this juror, they was trying to make it seem like because he was black that they needed that racial balance, and it had nothing to do with him being black, white, or anything. It's just the fact that he had lied, and the judge kicked his ass out of there. You know what I'm saying? The judge took him, and I think the judge talked to him. You know what I'm saying? And I guess he didn't like what was said and let him go. And I heard the jury is out. He's out there doing. He's speaking on certain people's podcasts and shows. He might be on the next Art of Dialogue. I don't know, but that's what it looked. That's what it ended up to, man. It ended up like that, man. That the juror had he told a lie, had nothing to do with his color and had nothing to do with it. But Puff team tried to play that off, and then they tried to get juror number 7 off. Now Puff wanted juror number 7 off, and I don't know what juror number 7 did, but like I just told you, Puff and them, they got people in there that is looking at every juror, and it seemed like he may be the juror that runs the show and feel like that everything Puff was doing was disgusting and might, talk to the other people and convince them. Because they even wrote a letter to the judge trying to get him off, but the judge said, nah, we going with this. We going with it. So they got rid of juror number 6 and kept juror number 7.
You have any insight on what was shown on the tapes?
They didn't let nobody in what they call the chambers. They didn't let nobody see that. Only the people in their monitors, they could see that and they could hear it. But at first, the people that was in the courtroom number 1, they could hear it. They could hear some of the freak off, and you could hear Diddy telling people what to do in the tapes. And then the court officer made them lower the microphones in their heads, and because they were doing it at Diddy's table, the lawyers them. They were doing it at Diddy's table, and they was too close to the mics, so they made them turn it down so the people in the galley and the chambers, stuff like that, couldn't hear what was going on. They didn't let nobody see him, and the media and the public people were saying that because it's in federal court and it's going to be in public record at one time, it should be shown to the public now. But the judge then wouldn't allow none of that stuff to happen. But you could tell that the people were disgusted on some of the stuff that they were seeing. They was disgusted, man. You could see, especially some of the men.
How you know they was disgusted?
By their facial, as a juror, you're supposed to be as calm, cool, and collective as possible. But when you see something and you go like, and you're trying to hold it back, a lot of times you got to realize it's an involuntary eye movement, and it's just based on what you see and you feel. You understand? You hear something, you see something, you might do a movement and not even knowing that you're doing the movement. And you could see that from some of the jurors.